Hi everybody and welcome to another Creative Corner. I can't tell you how exciting this particular Creative Corner is today. I'm thrilled that we're doing it. There's a lot that's been going on to put this stream together, so I'm going to do things a little bit differently today. And before I get to the actual image to create it, I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory and hopefully take you along the journey of what has got us here today and the motivations behind today's shoot. So as always, we are live, so feel free to drop in your comments, tell us hello in the comments, tell us where you're joining us from. And obviously, as we go, please feel free to ask questions. This is what makes the live stream so unique. It allows us to interact with you live and to answer your questions as we go. Okay, so going back a few weeks now, I normally get my flowers from a local florist, and the florist here, because we're in lockdown, only has very specific things that they can get their hands on right now. And when I told her that we were doing a live stream at the end of the month, she looked at me and she said, well, you know, next week we only have sunflowers. And I was like, okay, let me think on sunflowers. And of course, the minute you start thinking sunflowers, you start thinking Van Gogh, and you start thinking of that vase that those sunflowers sit in. And so I reached out to my friend who lives in Guimarães. Hi, Joy. I'm sure you're watching. Hi, Joy. Yeah, you're there. Hi. I'm so glad that you're here. And I reached out to her, and I know that Joy is in the very, very, very early stages of setting up her atelier, and I wasn't sure whether or not it was too early to reach out to her and seeing if we could collaborate. And as it turns out, it was one of those times where when I spoke to her, she'd only just had her kiln delivered, so it's brand new studio, and she just hasn't actually done there's no work to go inside the kiln. So when we spoke, it was very much a case of, do you have anything that I may be able to use with this inspiration in mind? And as it turned out, she had been gifted some clay, and I'm sure I'm not going to do this justice, but I am going to let Joy's work speak for herself. So in a second, I'm going to show you her actually making these props that we're going to be using today. But before I do, she had this clay. It was gifted to her as a present alongside the kiln. And she actually, it's raw pug. I think that's what she'll correct me in the comments. Hi, Tuan. Really pleased that you're here. And so this clay in its rawest form, the texture in it and the color, I was actually really thrilled to see if we could use it without it being fired, because the texture of it is incredibly different after it being fired. And so I kind of wanted to do something that was very, very different, that wasn't normal, that the ceramic would look very, very different as well. And fortunately for me, Joy has trusted me with her babies. And this is the very, very, very first works out of her atelier. So I am thrilled to be using them in the imagery today. And I'm going to now ask our producer, can you just roll a video of Joy actually making these pots, please? So there might be a delay, but we'll get there. Okay. So this is Joy. Hi, Joy. And this is her actually making these pots. So okay. And this is exactly like the shapes and forms that she's carving into it is really what's attracted me most to her work, because of the quantity of shapes that it brings out is incredibly unique. And when I saw the photos that she was sending me as she was working, that was one thing. I was very excited when she showed them to me, but when they were actually delivered yesterday, mind-blowing. The texture on them, it really, there's no photos or videos that really do that justice, and that's going to be one of my biggest challenges today, is to actually showcase those textures and the beautiful richness of the pot. So without further ado, let's bring out one of the stars. But actually, before I do that, as always, there is a lot of background things that go on to put these lives together. So that because of that, there are a lot of preparation that I do before this point of going live. And I always like to do the intro of saying some of the assumptions that I've made before getting to this point. Because this is obviously, I'm trying to build up an image from the ground up for you, with you, but there is a starting point that I've come to, and there is a base point of coming to this live where I've already made certain assumptions. So I'm just going to roll through some of those assumptions with you now. So again, I'm going to ask our producer to roll the background video so that you can see a little bit of the fast forward of putting this together. And what you're going to see in this video is me studying the pieces of clay, of studying the vases, of looking at the texture in combination with our backgrounds, so that I can really get to grips with what colors and what backgrounds I'm really going to be comfortable using. So the selections I've gone through, as you can see in the video, are from dark to light, and I've worked out whether or not the textures will work well with the textures that are in the background. So I always start up with a certain setup that goes on, and today I've chosen to do another vertical image. And I've chosen the deep yellows that you see here, mainly because of the texture. Now I'm just going to check to see where we are on the video. But what you'll see in the background is also the flowers that I've pulled. So you'll see the sunflowers alongside some dry flowers and some freesias and some purples, because those were the color palettes that I thought would best work with the flowers. So as you can see, I really studied and I really took the time to look over these vases before making my final selection of the vases that I was going to use in this live, predominantly because the other I think there's 3 vases that I won't be using, because the shapes and forms I felt fit better with another type of setup, and I'll talk about that at the end of the video. So what you see here is a combination of the plank of wood that we put in, as well as the other wooden backgrounds. And what I've done is I've added the bigger piece of wood here, of the yellows, behind the smaller piece, mainly because this smaller background wasn't big enough, so I just needed an extension of that background. So if you see on the vertical, and let me just switch our live video on so you can hopefully see what I'm talking about when I switch the camera on and into. Okay, so what you may see here, some white in the corners. I'm not worried about that, mainly because I know that I can extend that in Photoshop if I need to later. So if I do need to, I'm going to leave it for now, but probably cover that up in Photoshop later. So it is a conscious choice that I've made to do that. So this is a setup that we've come to. I've also set up my continuous softbox on the side, because I feel that side lighting will add the texture into the vases that I'm going to be using. But that might change. I may alter the lighting later on, but just to set up the image itself, it is far better for me to start with, to set it and just leave it alone, and then work the image as it is, and then come back to the lighting and make those decisions afterwards. But this just gives me a frame of reference of what I'm working with right now. So, okay, great. I'm going to jump in and I'm going to show you some of the pots that I've chosen, but I'm also going to talk about the inspirations that I've been looking at whilst doing this. And what I wanted to show you is an article. I think it was written, was it Petapixel? that did an article of how you can take still life, or from, I think it's from Georgia era, so I probably got that right. It's from about the 1800s, where they've taken a still life image and then like literally used the inspiration of this portrait as a still life image, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. This particular photo really kind of captured my attention. I think perhaps the tonal quality of it really grabbed me. It was the browns and the little hints of oranges through there, but also the cluster of people and the ratio of peoples. And I kind of found that very inspirational and thought that that would be a very, very lovely way of using that particular picture. And can we show the artist himself? Okay, so Frederick Scott Archer was the photographer, and I think in Wikipedia it says that he's a British sculptor, and I think he also invented collodion. So the photographer is the author of that photo, and so it's this photo that I will be taking my inspiration from today. So I just wanted to give you all of the background before we started so that you knew kind of where we were coming from. So let's start by building our image, and I'm going to put firstly, as I always do, I just want to put my iPad on hyperlapse so that I capture the process in fast forward motion. Hi Siri, open hyperlapse. So I'm going to set this on my stand and start recording all of that. And I hope everybody's well. It's really lovely to see you all here today. Okay, and hopefully we've set up a Bob cam, because before we noticed that a lot of you were asking, where is Bob? I don't pick Bob up. He's not a cat that likes to be picked up, but we hope that he will sleep all the way through this, so we'll keep you updated, because it would be nice if he slept through this. Okay, so firstly, okay, the big reveal. The vases I'm going to use today are, and I'm going to show you in order of the left. So this one is going to be my naughty child today. This is the one that I am going to sit right over here. Now, if you remember Frederick's photograph, you will see that there was a fiddler on the left of the image, and this one is going to be my fiddler. He's going to be the one that has all the fun. Okay, so we're going to put him there. And then these two were actually the first two vases that I saw in the picture that Joy sent me. And these ones are really my dancers, because I find that the shape of them dance so beautifully round. So let me just press live view again. There we go. Okay, great. So I am really attracted to how this shape comes around. I mean, just how great is that? It leans in, and to me, the fact that I can see like this beautiful shape and these really, to me, kind of indicate that something needs to happen over here. So if you remember again, Frederick's photo had like a big group of people over here and then the fiddler over here, and that's kind of what I'm playing with the vases. So that's something I'm going to keep in mind. Now, my third vase I'm going to put here, but I'm also aware that my set has a little bit of a hole back here, so I'm going to see if I can fill it before I put something in it. So I'm just going to prop it up with some little pieces of slate back here, just to level the ground up. Let me just. Okay, And then I have a piece of wood that will sit, hopefully, and just bring that height up. I do try and work on different heights, because just this alone, you can kind of see we've got different backgrounds and different heights here. I think I've moved the camera as well, that's okay. And then a different height back here will also help the image. Okay. It just gives it, you know, again, a little bit of depth, a little bit of something. And I'm just going to move you over. Allow spaces for the rest of your beautiful family. Okay, so vase number 3 is this beauty. How great! Look at all of these wonderful textures that are in it, and these are the swirls back here that I'm very, very interested in. So I took a long time going through these vases to see which sides and which textures I really liked the most and the ones I wanted to bring up. And I might bring, let's just see. Okay, so I'm just fiddling to get the right placement for it. Because you can see it's like, it's a ridiculous amount of beautiful texture. Every angle is a great angle. So it's truly difficult. Joy, you've made this very difficult. So in the best possible way. So let's have that there. And then my final beauty is going to come out, and this is the baby of the family. This is the one that's going to sit right here as the third on this side. So I'm going to try and just shuffle everything over. There we go. And I wonder if that's this way. Okay, so, okay, there we go. So that's kind of how I'm envisioning the vases might sit. We'll see how those transpire. I might shuffle them and continue to tweak, because we always tweak. I just don't think there's enough tweaking. I'm probably going to just shuffle the framing back just a tiny bit. There we go. And there we go. Right, there we go. Again, I'm just trying to give it a little bit of breathing room here, and I'm ignoring all the white back here. This is something I'm already aware of. It's a Photoshopable thing afterwards. I really normally hate that, but quite honestly, I really wanted to keep this vertical. I know that it could be horizontal and I would have more space, but I really wanted it to be busy and clustered. And when we bring the sunflowers in, you'll understand I wanted the height for it as well. Okay, so this is kind of a really great base point. So I'm now going to bring in my flowers, the sunflowers. And it's at this point that I kind of start inventing little stories in my head about these vases and the stories between them and how they're going to play with each other. Like, I was thinking to myself, does the one on the left have all the fun? Does the one on the left have all of the sunflowers and like a big kind of massive display in? And then the ones on the right don't have so much, and so are clustered together and are kind of consoling themselves, whilst this one on this side has a big bouquet. So I'm going to play around with that idea and see how we go. Let's firstly see the sunflowers, which caused all of the stir, which was the beginning point. And let's bring them out. So I'm going to I've got 8 of these, so I definitely think we'll be using them. I'm just going to see about distributing them. Okay. Oop. Let me just cut them up. So as we're live, feel free to ask questions as you go, and I will try and answer them with you. Let's see. Oh, you know, this one feels like this one feels like it's a little bit sorry for itself. So I have a plan for this one. This one, especially look at how that that's so perfect. Look at the neck of that. That's already perfect. That's gonna sit in there somehow. We're gonna sit this one in here, just because of the neck of that. I really love that. So I've got a plan. Joy's gonna laugh when she sees that. Odd and even numbers definitely influence my composition, mainly because of the triangles. I think I'm very influenced by kind of like Rembrandt type portraits, anything with triangles in, of the height differences. I know that I very much talk about height differences and the way they play with each other, and I worry about that a lot in my composition. I take a lot of time to think about it. I knew that these 3, for instance, really would play very well together because there's 3. The fact that there's 4 here is actually a challenge for me because it's an even number. And I'm hoping to readdress that by putting perhaps an uneven number of sunflowers in this one and make this kind of a heavier side. But absolutely, like uneven numbers, there is something that I think is far more interesting compositional because it draws you in a little bit more. Perhaps there's something more for you to look around. I think even numbers are very symmetrical, and there's a place for that. I think symmetrical and evenness and really placed image, in that sense, there is a time and place for it. But I think that because of the materials that I'm using here and the roughness of them and the texture and where they come from in earth, I think that having something that's slightly unbalanced is actually more interesting for a viewer. But if I were to do a more clinical, like a very 4 or a 6 image, then I might go for a much more clean background, like a white background or a solid color without texture and very regimented. I mean, perhaps far more architectural. Whereas this to me is far more lifelike. So it very much affects my work. I'm not sure, and I think that's a personal choice. That's a personal decision from person to person as to what you're aesthetically drawn to. And there's not going to be the right or wrong way of going about that. You know what Rembrandt is? Look at that one. You are going to live back here. Look at that beautiful neck on that. I don't know how we're going to do that one, but you are definitely going to live somewhere, either in that pot or outside it, but I love the neck on that one. There is something magical about Rembrandt. I don't know if it's the lighting for him is what seals it for me, or whether or not it's the type of imagery he portrays. It's a bit of a dark and moody feel. I feel as if light and airy became trendy, and I was left behind because I don't feel like my images are light or airy at all. If I can get away with everything, my images go really dark, like 100% of the time. And I've also had to learn that often images in the back of my screen will be lighter than, darker when I put them in the computer, and I have to force myself to photograph things in a way that I don't like them in the screens. I have to photograph them slightly lighter in order then to pull them back to the dark level that I would prefer later on in post-process. So it's something that I've had to adjust to what I'm seeing in the camera. I don't know if you've had that experience, but I often see that there's a way of, I've had to train my eye of what I'm seeing isn't necessarily, it's certainly not going to be the way that it will turn out in post-process. But I've had to train my mind and my eye as to what those are going to look like. Okay, so I have my sunflowers, 1, 2 for each pot here. I have the naughty child. Well, this one here is going to go in here because again that leads into that. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sunflowers for this one, and that will be what makes up this big, I'm hoping, a big display here. And whether or not that will make it too much on that side, I don't know yet. That is a concern. So I'm going to have to look at it and to see how it balances, and whether or not I can, whether or not this heavy side on this side at this time will balance out such a big bouquet. I'm hoping that it will. So I'm going to start by taking some of these, I think, and working out, like this one, this beautiful one might be the middle one. So if we work out the middle one. So height-wise, I might have, see, that's the tallest it can go. So let's cut it the tallest it could go, and that way I know that I'm going to be good. Now, I did have a conversation with Joy about how I'm going to be able to put things in the vases, because putting things in the vases, I usually use a whole load of tricks to put things in. And I put foam, or I put the florist wire, because these are still in their very raw form, we decided that the florist foam wasn't actually a good use for these vases. So fortunately, I have a building site next to me, and it currently has a delivery of red sand. So I went out and I got a little tray of sand, and I'm going to be using that inside the pots to hold these flowers in place. So this one back here is way too tall. I want it to be perhaps, I don't know, let's cut it down just a tiny bit here to see, like, to gather the tallnesses. So I'm going to put the sand inside the vases to hold these in place. So you can see if I put it in, there we go. So you can't really see the neck, and I really want to see the neck as it's kind of like there. So that's kind of where I would really like to see that. So in order to hold it in place, I'm going to put some sand in, and then I can prop the sunflower in the right place. Oh, my pouch has come down. If I just give me a second, I have all the mics and everything in the pouch, and there we go. Let's put those in. So this sand won't hurt the vases, and when they get fired, I'm sure Joy will explain in the comments if she can. And I don't mind if some slip onto the set. I think it will add. It will add. Uh-oh. Was that a bob cam I heard there? Did he just jump off the sofa? Oh, I think he's still in place. Good, okay. So we're just going to put some of this. I'm not going to fill it up, I'm just going to put some of it into all of them, just so that I can position the flowers in place. And I'm also not worried if the sand spills onto the top of the vases, because again, I think it's going to add a little bit of character to the photo. So rest assured, I did talk to Joy about this before. She knows, she knows what I'm about to do to her pots, don't worry. This isn't going to hurt them in any way. And will help us enormously because of not being able to put water soaked foam in the bottom. So this will be able to be hopefully a little bit more stable for us. So let's, as you can see, I'm not being terribly precious with where the sand just falls. And hopefully that's enough. Okay, so this one here, I really, or was it this one? I think it was this one, wasn't it? There we go. The reason why I'm using two different backgrounds is because I'm of the type of image that I'm doing. It kind of made sense to me with the story that I have in my head about the vases. I had a story in my head that this side of the three vases together would, oh, let me just pop that there. That the three vases here would play as one side of the family, perhaps consoling each other and perhaps a little bit darker. And this one vase on the other side would be this star of the show, really, like a big bouquet and bigger than, you know, mum, dad and little bear over here. So for me, having the two different backgrounds of the different tonalities really kind of played into that story of having those two different things going on. And I don't mind the different tonalities because you've already got beautiful textures, but you've got two different stories going on. You've got this story here that I'm telling of these three together, kind of consoling each other. And then this one over here that's got the life of the party going on, that's bigger than life, that's going to have all of the flowers. And that's kind of like why I don't mind the backgrounds being so big. And also because I didn't have, the single background wasn't big enough for all four vases. So I kind of work both things in at the same time. So I'm going to just chop that about there. So that was my thinking. I don't know if, obviously that story, the particular story that I've built up about this image may not be the image that other people come up with when they read the image. They are not going to know my thoughts behind the image. They're going to come into that and see the image the way they read it, the way that makes sense for them. And that's fine. But in my mind, building an image is always it has more depth to me if I build up a story at the same time. And if I build up a story, and in my mind there's this fun dynamic going on, somebody else is going to read something else into it, and their reading of the image may be completely different. But it's not going to matter. And that's fine. However you want to read art is how you read art. The old painters, I love listening to, especially the National Gallery curators, explain their take on the big masters and the big paintings. And then listening to another curator from a different genre have their interpretation of the same painting. It's fine to have different genres and different interpretations, but the beginning and the main point is that you need something, and you need to have work with something that has a story, that other people can transpose a story to, or put their own reflections onto it. So however you want to build up your images, I like the storytelling part. To me, it's part of it. And most of my images, there's a story, there's something going on in my head as I'm building it up. I talk to the flowers, I talk to the plants, I work out what I think that they should be doing, or where they should be going, or what their hopes, dreams and aspirations of the future are. But that's, I think, how I come to it. And how you come to it will be completely different. Nothing about that is wrong or right or invalid. It's just a method, I think. So these are my two big ones. And I like the fact that right now you can't see the head, you can't see the middle of the sunflower. I'm going to save that exclusively for this one over here. So he's going to get all of the pleasure over here, and we're going to see the sunflower heads of this one. Now, this one here is going to be the one that kind of leans into the others. So I'm going to put this one here at that height. So he's going to go perhaps a bit shorter. I always prefer to cut a bit taller and then cut down. And this one, I'm going to remove its leaves, and it's going to be a stalk. And we might leave one leaf. There we go. Okay. We're going to leave one leaf. Probably that one. Okay, that one comes off. Okay, so you are going to live in here. And I'm going to pop you with a bit more soil. And there you go. So again, I'm just making this one sit where I want him to. Oh, that always happens at exactly the wrong time. I'm just going to pop some soil in, pack it into place, because I kind of want him right there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to take the petals off this sunflower. So I want to see, there we go. I'm going to save them to one side, but I'm just going to pull off the sunflower petals, and that's going to build up part of my story of why this one is feeling sorry for itself, and why these three are kind of, I'm going to leave one petal there, one leaf, Okay, so he's kind of looking a little bit, sorry, I don't like the tangent that that's on. We can possibly, okay, there we go. That's a little bit better. Let's just perhaps move him in a bit. There we go. Okay. So this is the time I will fiddle. So I'm going to try not to fiddle too much today. I did promise that I wouldn't do that so much. So some of the things that I'm thinking about for this is I will probably come back to this and see whether or not I can make these petals, if I pull them out and have them falling as if mum and dad are crying into the little one and having the petals come down here. So I'm going to see what we can do about that, but that's something I'm going to come back to. I'm going to come over here and start working on this side because I would like to see how the balance is going to be addressed. So I'm going to start on this side. Let me just see how we're doing. I can answer any questions that you may have. Okay, so let me just moving on to the other side at the same time as grabbing my cup of tea because that's also important. Cups of teas are always important, people. In the meantime, what I would suggest you do, if you like these pots as much as I do, go check out Joy's work. I think Philippe can cut over to Joy's Instagram feed. Can you like and give her a like and subscribe and just say hello and give her some much love for these wonderful vases that she's allowed me to fill with soil and take photos of today. So I think that's being up on your screen right now. Okay, so I'm going to come over to this side where I'm hoping that you can catch me. I'm really sorry if you can't, but I'm over here. Hello. So I am going to see now if I can perhaps get a bunch of actual sunflower heads showing, the traditional beautiful big blossoms and kind of like have a wonderful view. So let me just cut some of these to the right height. I might have to manipulate the flowers and the heads. Oh, I'm definitely going to need some more soil in here. So let me pop those in. I'm also going to, I've got a couple of petals there. I'm not going to waste those. I'm going to pop those in for styling in a minute. I won't faff just yet. We'll save all the faffing to the last minute because I know that can be a little bit boring to watch. But at the same time, I do spend quite a lot of time working single petals and just moving things around. So I know that isn't so interesting to watch. So I will try and cut that out a little bit for you today. Oh, guys, I hope that this is useful to you. It's one of those things that I think each artist has their own way of working and their own things that they talk about in their work as they're building. And some people just like to go on intuition and just sit and build and find it meditative to sit and build, and that's fine. Like there's no wrong way about building up an image. I I think I often just build up stories in my head as a way of communicating, of like adding depth into my imagery. Okay, so this one is the one I would like to bend you forward. Now, I have some pins that I'm going to try and use to try and bend over the head here, because I really want to start seeing much more of this. So let's just, there we go. So I'm going to start building up the heads of the sunflower around that one now. Where are we? So we have, yeah. So this one can go, look at that. I'm looking at the stems of how the stems want to fall and how they are kind of like, some of them are bended, and I'm kind of working out how they might be, if I bend them the wrong way, will they fall forward? Or will they just play against me? So I'm really trying to work with them. I think this one is going to be difficult. This one is slightly bent already forwards. So I'm going to put him just behind, and I'm going to keep all the foliage of these ones. So this is going to go behind and be about there. So we're just, again, I'm going to cut higher than I think it is, because I can always trim off more. So I've just seen the little spider scurry away. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you, spider. Okay, so you're going to live directly behind your big brother there. And then I am going to ask you very nicely if you wouldn't mind bowing your head a little bit. You will need to bend. I'm very sorry, but that is going to need to happen. Right, so we're just going to prop you there. And I'm now going to think about filling like the gap here. So this one and this one's very open. So let's use you as one down here. Okay, so I'm gonna again cut just a little bit taller than necessary. There we go. And again, you are going to need to bend forward. You don't know this yet, but you are. There we go, let's help you. Funny story, I didn't actually know that these sunflowers would be mini sunflowers when we talked about them with the florist. I actually thought they would be the giant ones. Of course, the giant ones are only available in June, July time, and I was very disappointed to see mini ones. But actually now looking at them on the set, I can see that I'm now very glad that they are mini, because this wouldn't have been possible with giant ones. I think we would have got one in the shot and then that would be it. We wouldn't have seen. So, oh, okay. You want to be the star of the show there. That's okay. I am going to just shuffle you around. Everyone gets to be a star, don't worry. Okay, so that's very nice. I like that. Let's see how we can... I like how some of them are naturally leaning towards this side, like showing themselves to the light. And that's quite a fun thing. So there's 3 in. And I'm also like, this seems to be not part of the story. I want this to be like, no, we're gonna withhold all of our love from you. So I'm just gonna style that leaf. I don't want to touch you. We don't want to be close to you. I'm gonna be over here. You can be over there. Well, we're gonna be miserable over here. And okay, so again, just trying to maneuver these sunflowers down a little bit. Now, let's see. I'm wondering at this point whether or not I actually carry on with the sunflowers, or because I have two beautiful sunflowers here, or I'm going to put those just to one side just for a second. I did think I would use all 5, but I'm actually wondering if on this side we put in a splash of purple. Now, it may be too much, but I did get some of these beautiful, they smell so wonderful. And I wonder if I can put one strand of these in with the sunflowers. Now, if I put them on that side, again, I'm very conscious right now, things are balancing up, but I want to be mindful of the balance, but I also would like, you know, to make sure that this side looks like it's doing a lot better than, okay, so I'm gonna chop this again a lot higher than I think I need to, so I'm going to chop it about there, and then we'll give it a whirl and see how it plays out in the vase. So I like how there's a lot of green on this, you see. I think that will fill in. Let me just take the bottom ones off a little bit. You might notice that I keep some of the leaves over on the side here. That's really for styling purposes later. I certainly love keeping all of the sunflower leaves and the petals because they definitely will come in handy, and I don't want to throw anything away that may add to the final details. So let me pop you in the back, or are you going to be in the front? Let me see. I suspect we may be able to. Oh, okay, you definitely work, you definitely go. I just think you probably need to come down just a little bit, so let's cut you a little bit more further down so I can push you into the soil a little bit more. Again, I will always cut higher than I think so that I can then adjust later. And let's see. Oh, because you can cut too much like that. Let me just see if I can get you a little bit higher back here. That's fine. We'll prop you up back there. That's fine. Okay. I actually really like having the little splash of purple there. I'm going to also see if I can put something here. Oh, so Tuan, are you using big sunflowers or the mini sunflowers in your macro work? I guess you only have access to mini ones as well. But the backs of them are utterly gorgeous, so I can understand why you do that. I'm going to just see what this purple one here would look like here. You see, just there, I think it would work quite well. So let me just, again, measure where I think I'm going to cut. What do they say? Measure twice, cut once. I'm rubbish at that. Never happens. It's like reading the manual. I never read the manual. Yeah, it's like the IKEA instructions that come through the door. You just ignore it. By the way, my husband's the producer, and he's in my ear saying, "That's why you've got me." It is indeed why I have him. He is the one that reads the manuals and then shows me how to use things. Okay, so I will just pop that in here, and I'm going to take off some of the other leaves. If I need to put them back in, I will pop them back in front in a minute, but just for now, oop, come on, in you go. I knew I'd have problems with you. There we go. Great, and perhaps this side or this side? Yeah, that's the thing. The mini ones for you, I can imagine, are really perfect size, aren't they? And they really have so much texture. As I say, I have got over my disappointment pretty quickly at not having the big ones, because I can see, like, having big ones on set today would have been way too much. You are going to need to bend. I'm sorry, but you are. That's going to happen. You don't know that it's going to happen yet, but it is. I'm going to have to pin you, and that's fine, but just so you understand, that's going to happen. I wonder if I've got I don't have a pin that's long enough, actually, but I do have some wire, so if you don't stay, I will wire you. It's like putting braces on sunflowers. Okay, so I also think I'm probably going to need one more purple here. It's at this point, I'm looking back, I'm just going to step away from the image, look at it a second, and look at whether or not this image is now unbalanced or not, or whether or not I need to remove the purples and kind of take a step back. I did want this to be a little bit heavier on this side to balance up this side, but I don't know at this point. Perhaps this side also needs just a little bit of help. I wonder if it is. I mean, that's it. The left vase is a still life on its own. You're right, but I still want to keep with the original story, but I want to see like if perhaps let's just take it's obviously having purple on this side kind of really shocks over this side, and I'm wondering now if this just needs a little bit of of purple in on this side, and I don't want to detract from the story that's being told here either, so that's a quandary in my head as to how I'm going to solve that. The other thing I could do is I have these beautiful, oh, I just heard the camera just click off. I do have two different colours. I do have these, and they could live, see, I was thinking about putting a purple in here and then perhaps like two pinks over here. I'm not really sure. I'm also wondering whether the other things I have, I have some utterly these have been filling the studio with scent the whole weekend. And that might balance up a little bit in a lovely way here. Like having this on this side. Let me try this. It's not purple, and this may not work, and that's okay. Like, this is, you have to allow yourself to play and acknowledge that things may or may not work. Now, see, I kind of, that may, and again, perhaps another blue one in here. We have, or a pink one. There is a smaller pink one here. Or, okay, yeah, I will put that one over there. I will put that one over there, because what I've just seen by doing that is a natural vignette. And what you can see is the purples on the outside of the image have created a natural darker place in the image on the side. Because the light is coming from that side, it's sometimes really important to have a dark side so that when you're coming into it, you can naturally come in and view with your eyes across the image. And what I just saw, by putting a lighter colour purple in the same vase but in the centre, it created a nice natural, can you see there? Nice natural place as a vignette where your eyes, in the centre, it's still quite light. So I'm going to keep you in there. I think I'm going to need to help you to stand up, but I will come back to you with some wire, if you, or even a toothpick through the stems, if that needs to be done. And I will fiddle later, I promise. I'll stop fiddling for now. So now you have like a very heavy sunflower on this side. Beautiful. Even if they're not going to bend over very much, they will, but they're just gonna, I just take a bit of time and keep reinforcing. So that's gonna happen on this side. Now, if I put another blue hyacinth here, so I'm really just trying to address that balance, which I knew might happen at the beginning. These are things that, when they come up, it's just being aware of what, and I wonder if I actually just need to swap that one with that one, because that one's, yes, I do. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to swap this one here, because this one is a bit lighter. So you come out a second, and I'm going to swap you with this one and pop you in there. Now again, I reserve the right to entirely change my mind about anything. That leaf will need to stand up, but we'll address that afterwards. I'll do leaf shaping afterwards. So I'm allowing myself to be wrong. It's really permission to have completely got it all wrong, and if I need to, I can restart, or there we go. or just acknowledge that perhaps there might be needing another balance. Sometimes giving yourself permission to play is really crucial, especially when you're not sure things are going to work out. There's a level of kindness that I think is good to give yourself. It's acknowledging, look, it's okay if this doesn't work. It's what it is. We can change it, we can move it. We can change the entire set or story at any point in time. If I decide, actually this story is not working, I can change that too. It's one of those things that if you can have a story to start with, that's great, it might lead you somewhere. But if that story doesn't work at any point in time, that's also okay. It's what it is, it's fluid. Allow yourself to change, allow yourself to be wrong. Right, writers also have drafts, exactly. That's exactly right. This is, allow yourself the fluidity of editing and changing it. I do like these curls on these leaves back here. You are going to curl beautifully, and I am going to enjoy perhaps having you curl back here as well. I promised I wouldn't faff, okay? But some of the styling things, I think it does help you see how, you know, these cute little curls are going to really come out, and I'll just put a pin through it and just prompt myself to know that it's a possibility, and to come back to styling the leaves here. So let me just curl a leaf round. Guys, if you've got any questions as I go, please feel free, and I'll answer them as we go. So I think, oh, come on, curly leaf. This is, some of the time leaves don't know what they're going to do until I put them there and then coerce them a little bit. So come on, Mr. Leaf. Show us what you've got. There you go. Okay, so you see that pin there? I will definitely be dotting that out in Photoshop. It's not going to stay there. There we go. I don't like this one. This one also is going to be it. It's curl you over and have a little pin through you, and then there we go. So I like how the curls are coming out, and this one back here is definitely also going to curl under. Do I like the colours? Yes, I do. I think that that's working for us quite nicely, and I think that having a dot of purple on both sides is also helping quite well on the balance, especially if they're not the same colours. Like, I think that's quite important. Oh, you're not going to stay where I put you. That's okay. You don't know that you're going to stay there yet, but you are. Just pop a pin through you, and then there we go. And at the moment you're off frame, so we'll just see if we can we'll fiddle with you. I'll come back to that one. This one under here will also get a pin. This is what I mean by fiddling. I'm very sorry, guys. It's, for me, I could spend hours just on hairstyling, and it is something that does make a huge difference in the imaging, how you're arranging things, how you're styling things. Obviously, it is the difference between connection of certain things together as well, because how like the connection between the curls, you want one flower to connect to the other, and I wanted this one to sit right in the middle, like it's being framed. Can you see? And this leaf here will also come in as if it's, you know, it's not going to be proud, it's going to be a little bit sorry for itself. And there will probably be a water droplet on there. So there's things that I'm going to try and arrange, and obviously there you can see, like, because of the way the leaves are, we could probably have like a tiny leaf just falling like in there. So there'll be like a petal falling from above into that. That's kind of where I'm going with that, and probably onto these. So that's kind of how I'm building that up on this side. I don't like this here. The colour palette itself, in terms of the flowers, as the minute I knew we were going to have sunflowers, I was looking to see what colours could go along with the yellows, because yellow can be very, very bright, and honestly, we're in lockdown here. I'm not feeling very bright or very spring. So I think that in terms of that, if you're not feeling something, it will automatically come out in the images. So I didn't want to try and force myself to create something really bright and really energetic and spring-like, especially because I'm not really feeling it. So I figured if we came down a little bit in tones and just made it slightly darker and a slightly more grounded image, even though I've chosen the yellow backgrounds, it's dark yellow, and I really thought we'd try and ground it, and the vases kind of help really put this back onto earth and make this an earth place. So, and because of that, I'm whilst I'm talking, I'm scattering some soil on the background, because I can see there's certain places here where the light falls, and I don't mind seeing the light here, but I don't want to see it in the corner. The corner is always a difficult place when you're editing out, and I try not. I used to put really heavy vignettes in my images, and I found that looking back on those images, I feel like I was a little bit heavy-handed with them. So now what I try and do is create natural vignettes rather than put them in Photoshop later. If I can create and be noticeable, like mindful, whilst I'm creating an image where the edges and what the edges look like in my frame, particularly where the background, like here, you see that where the background meets the floor. I'm now far more mindful of those places in my image, and there is sometimes a time where you look and say, is that what you want? Do you want that? Or do you want to say, put, you know, a leaf back here and cover it up? How do you want that to look? And for me, that little leaf back there actually feels a lot nicer. The line itself felt very, very harsh, which is funny because this line here doesn't feel nearly as, this one here, can you see? This line here and this line here doesn't feel nearly as harsh as this one to me. Perhaps because it's a darker wood, and because there isn't a pool of light just in front of it, it doesn't come up as contrasty. And so when there's a huge contrast where that meets the background meets the floor, your eye kind of sometimes goes there, and there's nothing there. It's not the center of your image, it's not the start of your image, and so I don't really want to draw my eye into that place. Okay, so speaking of though, there is this line here in the corner, and I am going to look at that as well. I'm going to see whether or not I need a leaf, or whether or not that's going to be something else. Let me just see. Nope, that's not the right place. Okay, so that could be a leaf, or it could be I have some little rocks. I think perhaps I might prefer a rock here, because again, I'm very mindful of the vignette, and a leaf is a little bit lighter than the rock. So there you go. That to me is much, much better. And you see here, I can see where the leaf is. There's still a little bit of join between the background and the floor. I'm going to use another piece of mud to do exactly my bidding of hiding back here. So, oh, I wish you could smell these. Honestly, they are utterly amazing. Okay, so see, for me, that's instantly better. That's hidden that really, really well. And I will probably do something very similar here, perhaps with a smaller, yeah. See that? It just hid that little gap. So there are places like that where I'm quite happy just to hide the joins, essentially. And again, it's a detail to look out for, and what I'm looking for in my images. Okay, so back to our main image here. I'm pretty close to, I would say, being where I want this to be. I'm still... There's a few things that I will continue to play with, like this, the heads of the sunflower really does need to come down a little bit. Okay, we will just pop him down. So, also, because there's a gap between here and here on the screen, here and here, and by just pushing the sunflower down it will disappear, which is what I'm hoping for, but he's not playing. Oh, he will, it's just he doesn't understand yet. He doesn't understand, he will. Okay, so any questions before I carry on? So my battery on my camera's about to go. So let me I'm just going to click the button. Okay, so as you can see, the lighting on this is not necessarily where I will want it. This over here is very dark. So I would definitely be using a whiteboard here, and my background is too light, so I will probably be moving my light a little bit forwards and off the background. So if I can get a battery change, that would be great. And I'm just looking at this now to see where else I'm going to go. Now, one thing I haven't talked about, which I'm really excited to be using today, is my butterflies. Now let me show you the butterflies. The butterflies I have are, oh, let me just get the boards. Now, these are my butterflies. I'm so excited. So I bought these butterflies a while ago, but lockdowns have meant that parts of like the pins and various other things didn't come to me. But these butterflies came in an assorted pack, and they're for entomological reasons. They're sold, but the way that they come is they're flattened, the wings are together, and they're shut and perched. Now, as a photographer, that isn't exactly how I want to use them. I wanted to use them as if they were actually in flight or as if they were landing on things. So I've opened the wings and shaped them, and I've been sharing that journey on Instagram. I learnt a lot. Ooh, Bob's awake. Uh-oh. You must have heard the word butterfly. Yeah, hello. Star of the show, I swear. So these butterflies I really want to use in my image today. Ooh, okay. And I have specifically looked at some of the orange ones, which is why these ones I really wanted them to be turned inwards so that I can put in some of these butterflies in. And I'll probably put one of the blue ones into the bottom here, and the orange one perhaps back here. So let's just see how I can work this. I'm very excited to use these. So let's just see. I'm still conscious of the petals that I'm going to have dropping, so I'm just going to add in. This is like my magic touch today. Okay. So we could have him on the green back here. That would be nice. Let's have him back here. Ooh, nope. Hello, Bob. Hello, sweetheart. He's literally come to sniff some flowers on the floor, haven't you, Bob? Hello. So I believe we have a Bob cam. Hello, sweetheart. Hello. Yes, it's things that I don't want you playing with, sweetheart. So, oh, look at that. Already I'm ridiculously pleased with how that's looking. Okay, so so these leaves here, I am going to style out. So this is the things that I'd look at now and kind of see how they're falling for me. I see a gap here in my flower, and we'll try and perhaps coax a flower into place there. So I will fill that gap. I also see a lot of gap here, and I will use the other leaves here just to fill in those gaps. Okay. And just to kind of, hello, sweetheart. Do you want to come and style? I bet you do. Yeah. I think you just want the butterflies, don't you? You would like to play with the butterflies, I'm pretty sure of that. So this here, I will pin up. I don't want that to fall down, so I will pin him. Hello, sweetheart. Would you like to get out of the way? Thank you. So I'm going to just pin this one into place back here. Okay, and possibly that one as well, so that there's a little bit of a gap in there. Oh, if you see. So just a little bit of styling of the leaves will happen. Obviously, I will spritz the petals of the sunflowers as well, and I have a spritzer for that. Okay, there we go. And you will still not wanting to do what I asked there, but I will when I fold you in. So one of the things that I said about here was like the petals coming down here, and let me just see, perhaps if I can take, like, firstly, oh, hello, hello. If I can take this one and kind of like, Hello, sweetheart. Just drop perhaps a little one firstly onto the petal of the leaf, onto the leaf, so that they kind of like almost like raining or crying onto the one below that doesn't have a lot of petals, so they're shedding petals for him. Oh, I'm sorry, this is where I complicate things and get the fiddly leaves. I don't think you can see that, so you are going to have to come on the outside. Nope, people still can't see you, so okay, let's see you on that one. Okay, so there, that's where I would play with the petals, and I would make it very obvious that this flower is shedding petals for it. So let's just pull a few more off here. Oh, and that's what I didn't want to happen. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so are you smelling the flowers? Okay. I know you would easily do this, wouldn't you? That's without question, Bob, without question. Okay, so I'm going to take off some of these smaller ones here. Oh, okay. Let me take the leaves off, and then we can come back to where they are. The thing is because I'm taking the front ones off, it's not obvious. Because the back ones are also like, they could just twist them just slightly and we could see that they were just there. Okay, there we go. So then we could definitely see that these are falling off. Now then, where did you fall? I found one of you, and one of you was this leaf and this leaf, so you go here, please. So yeah, this is where Jenga skills come in. Never play me at Jenga. I'm very good. I practice every day with flowers. Okay, so you can see there, that's kind of what I would do, and I might even put like another one just here, like if we can perhaps have another one on the lip of the vase. There we go, where you can't see it there. Let me just move it around. Can you see it there? Yeah, you can see it there. And I might even have like a pile of them here, like where you can see they were supposed to be but what kind of fell. And let's even have some on the vase itself. Like, I wonder if I know that I can just lick and stick style. There we go. Completely. There we go. So essentially, they're just putting the flower, the petals, kind of just, not that one. That one's too big. Bob has found his scratch pad. Okay, so just, oh. So a big pool of petals, literally as if they're showering down, and they are. That's kind of the idea. You see there? Oh. So, hello. You see here, it's kind of like the showering down of the petals. And I kind of want a lot of petals there, like a lot of petals have been spilt over this, over him not having any at all. So I'm gonna also, you see the line I was talking to you in the background here is now also being filled by tiny, tiny petals. And this is the, oh, I kind of need to just come here and go fall. Okay, fall, and then I'll push you with a leaf in place, because he didn't fall in the right place. And I'm just going to push these in closer in place. There we go. Oh, I'm sorry, Bob. I'm so sorry. Bless him. He was under my foot then. So I'm just going to, I will push them a little bit more so that they are, so you don't see the background, essentially. There we go. So then there's definite, you can see then there's a step going on. The leaves are coming down and there's a step going on. And I might even just, like, here, that's great. And also, because I liked, you see the lip of the vase there, let's just pop that in. Okay, so that is much more in keeping with the kind of the idea that I had. I still have this one that I would like him to also have petals coming off it. So I'm going to tackle that next. You need to tell me if we're going over a little bit too long today. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so I will try and I'll try and wrap this up a little bit quicker. Okay, so this is really bothering me, this part, and I will definitely fill that in, but I'll not fiddle just yet. What else am I looking at? This will happen. The flowers coming down here. And, oh yes, the other thing I really wanted to include, Joy was telling me that in working this clay, she'd actually found some pieces of glass in it. And this really inspired me that there would be other different materials and other different types of things within the clay itself. And I actually have a little bag, this is what I collected it in, a little tissue bag, from the times of being at the sea. And obviously at the moment, we're not getting out, we're not going and being able to do those things. But I literally have a little bag of green sea glass. So inspired by what Joy was telling me about the clay, I'd like to include that in this image. So I'm going to just pour out some green sea glass here, and I'm going to sprinkle those at the bottom of our base, and it's literally, I'm just going to add them in here and here. I kind of like how this green is going to reflect the green up there, and allows me just to mirror some of that. You see the background also becomes a foreground then, because these are so light in comparison to the leaf back there. And I'm also going to put some here. So I have like little tiny bits, and I've got to say they feel so comfortable in your hand. I don't know what it is about sea glass, because it's rolled around in the sea for so long and it's taken all the sharp edges out of it. I like that idea that that the sea has worked its magic the same way as Joy's hands have worked her magic on the clay and made this a lot, made it into the shape that it is today. I I appreciate that. So little touches of joy in the image there. Let me just put those back here. Oh. So that's, I really, really like that. Okay, that's worked incredibly well. So yeah, that was that's my collection bag from when I collected those on the beach a very long time ago, it seems now. Okay, so how are we looking? Okay, let me just... I'm going to have to bully you into place. Come on now. You can do this the hard way or the easy way. Come on. It doesn't realise how stubborn I am, but I have a piece of metal. So let me get... I have this... in my prop drawers, which I'm pilfering through right now, I have a wire, and I know that you can use floral wire, but this is what I have right now, and so I'm going to use this as I've run out of floral wire and we're in a lockdown. Hello, Bob. Hello. Anything that rattles you think is yours because your treats come in rattly bags. It's very upsetting for him when he hears a rattle and it's not for him. Okay, so you are going to bend so let me just wrap that way, and hopefully I might have to just adjust the let's just put a piece of soil at the base so that it's propped up nicely that way. Okay, it's still a little bit out. Okay, there we go. Still not there. Oh dear, I've not bullied you further enough. Okay. I know if I keep working it, it will eventually droop down, so I'm not worried about this. Its stem is quite green. Normally by now the head would have snapped, and so it would be easier for it to be shaped in. Okay, so I'm actually going to leave it like that for now because I don't want to run over too much time. So let's just check in with you all and see how you all are. Rocks and grit and glass and metal and oh my, yes, another reason I carved instead of threw these pieces. Yes, I mean, Joy, honestly, thank you for trusting me with that, and thank you for allowing these pieces to be on set. I appreciate that they're absolutely raw and they're the first pieces, so I'm very grateful that you were able to give me that. And again, please, a huge shout out to Joy. Can you go subscribe her Instagram, because new pieces of clay are going to follow very, very, very soon, and her work is going to be amazing, as you can see. So please. Okay, I think a few yellow leaves on the bottom. I think we're talking about those, right, Tuan? I think. I'm sure she'll come back to me. Perhaps I missed a comment there. Butterflies, yes. honestly, these butterflies I am very, very, very pleased with, and they're going to be making an appearance. I was let me show you the really big ones this pack came with are this one is that was the one I would be using with the big sunflowers, but as you can see next to these, I think it would make them look really miniature. So I was hoping to use that butterfly, but sadly that'll have to wait. What a shame! I'll have to wait for some bigger flowers. That'll be making an appearance very soon, though, I promise you. I will, however, be putting probably some of the blue ones, that little one there, on the bottom one there that you can see. So there we go. Hopefully you can see that. Oh, let me see if I can line that up right. So there's a blue one on the bottom there that you can see on the wing, and I will probably use that one. I think the orange is just a little bit too much, so I want to have the blue reflected. And let me just do it, because I've been talking about it and now I really need to do it. Let me just pull a pin off. Okay, let me just. So these, I already have these on the pins, and I'm going to put this one here. So this one's going to live right in the sunflower. Perhaps even not in the sunflower, but perhaps it might just live like in contrast on the corner of the petal. I'm sorry, I had to do that. Right, I promise that's the last one. Okay, we are having a few problems with the stream today. I'm very sorry. There was a bit of buffering going on there. I had to put in the last butterfly just so you could see it, and because they're so pretty. Okay, so another successful episode. Thank you, Tuan. Honestly, I hope that these are very, very useful to you. And I will be putting this image up on my Instagram feed so that you can see the final image later. I probably, as I said, the things that I'm going to do to it now are exactly what I've said here. That little blue pocket here will change. I will do the petals falling, spritz it, and then change the lighting, because I really don't want this background to be light. And in order to do that, I will probably just move my softbox away from the background, just like that, and that will be enough to take it off the background and darken down the background naturally for me, whilst keeping the wash of light coming across the sunflowers. So guys, thank you so much for being along with me on this. And Joy, honestly, thank you so much for trusting me with your beautiful pots. And you're going to see lots more photos like this until you come and collect them. So thank you very much, everybody. Obviously, if there's any questions after this stream is put out, please just put them in the comments, and we will hopefully get round to them and we will answer them as they come in. So thank you very much.